Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Paula and I help emerging women leaders build the inner fitness needed to lead with clarity, confidence, and heart without burning themselves to the ground. Today, we're unpacking a struggle so many talented and driven women bring to me. They keep saying, I'm doing everything right, so why do I still feel invisible? If that feels a little too familiar, you're not alone and you're definitely not imagining it. Because visibility shouldn't require burnout. And yet, for so many women, it's become the price they think they have to pay. So let's change that today. Let's start with what the data is actually telling us. Because your lived experience is more common than what you think. Women are still under-recognized, even while overperforming. According to a McKinsey Women in the Workplace 2024 report, women continue to be less likely to be promoted into management than men, even though they hold 59% of bachelor degrees and consistently outperform on key leadership capabilities. This broken rung, the very first step into leadership, is the hardest one for women to climb. So women push harder, prepare more, work longer, try to be twice as ready, and still feel unseen. And this has real consequences. In a recent study by the University of New South Wales, the 2025 Women's Ambition Report stated that 40% of women identified lack of confidence in my abilities as a key barrier to their next step. And 72% they experienced burnout in the past 12 months. When asked why, 67% cited the pressure of balancing work and home, and 49% said long work hours were a major factor. That's a brutal combination. Feeling like you're invisible, always exhausted and carrying everything, still feeling like it's not enough. And then there's the mental load. So I looked this up in the Deloitte's Women at Work 2025 report, where 22% of women said their mental load is too high. And for women who work more than their contracted hours, only 15% rated their mental health as good, compared to 58% of those that did not overwork. So the message is clear. Overworking isn't creating visibility. It's creating burnout. So let's talk about why women feel invisible. Because this is where so many women get stuck. So reason one is that women are over-delivering in roles that aren't truly visible. Women are getting leadership titles, but many of these titles sit in the areas of business that are vital, yet invisible. According to the Women in the Workplace 2024 report, companies have been adding more behind-the-scenes leadership roles and placing women in those, while high-impact, high visibility roles haven't grown at the same rate. So women look like they're advancing, but their progress isn't always as real as you think, because these roles, they don't lead to big decisions and they don't necessarily lead to C-suite roles. They're getting the title, but not the influence. Women aren't being promoted into the spotlight. They're being promoted around the spotlight. And that's a huge reason so many feel invisible, overlooked, or like they're stuck in the shadows, even while they're over-delivering. So reason number two is that women carry the emotional labor of many organizations. And research has shown that women are still carrying the bulk of the emotional load in home life and work life. And the invisible load that no one sees, but everyone is getting the benefit of. So nearly 90% of women believe their manager would think negatively of them if they were honest about their struggling with their mental health. So what happens? Women keep going. They keep showing up. They keep saying yes, even though every part of them is exhausted. Not because they're superhuman, but because they're afraid of being seen as someone who can't cope, someone who isn't strong enough, someone who might be judged, overlooked, or quietly penalized for needing support. They keep saying yes when they're burning out because, heaven forbid, they're seen as not coping. The third reason that so many women feel overlooked and invisible is due to microaggressions, bias, and the constant pressure to prove themselves. There's so much research, and the Woman in the Workplace report that I mentioned also makes it pretty clear women are still getting interrupted more, questioned more, judged more harshly, and quietly treated as if they're just a little less capable. And then, just to top it off, they told, sometimes gently and sometimes not so gently, that they need to be more confident. Meanwhile, they're performing already at a higher level. So if you've ever sat there thinking, why can't they see what I bring? Please hear me. It's not because you're not bringing enough. It's because we still unraveling a workplace system that has never been designed for women to be fully visible in the first place. Let's talk about what happens when you try to be seen and hold everything together at the same time. The cost is usually burnout. 38% say burnout is a major barrier to their goals, and 1 in 3 point to long hours as the key contributor. Burnout has become its own quiet pandemic, spreading through workplaces everywhere, and it's no mystery why. We're living in a world that moves faster than our nervous system can keep up with. The constant change, the economic pressure, and hybrid work that blurs every boundary that you can imagine. At the same time, expectations have only increased. We have high demands, low recovery time, and a culture that still praises endurance over well-being. We now have a workforce of talented, capable people running on empty. Another cost of burnout is stalled ambition. Think about that. Deloitte's data shows that women carrying high levels of stress or workload are significantly less likely to pursue leadership, not because they lack drive, but because they genuinely can't imagine adding one more thing to an already overloaded life. And I know this from personal experience. When I was going through my divorce, my entire world felt like it was held together by a very thin thread. Every day was about survival, looking after my girls, managing the divorce fallout, holding myself together just enough to get through another meeting, another school pickup, another night alone. I wasn't thinking about promotions or opportunities. I didn't even have the headspace to dream. All I could do was put one foot in front of the other. And that's what burnout does. It shrinks your world. It turns a long-term vision into just day-to-day coping. It's not that ambition disappears. It's still there, quietly waiting, but it gets buried under the mental load, the emotional labor, and the sheer effort of holding everything together. Burnout doesn't make women less capable. It makes it harder for you to access that part of you that knows you're already capable of more. The ultimate cost of burnout is invisibility, because when you burnt out, you don't have the energy to advocate for yourself. You don't have the headspace to communicate your value. You don't have the bandwidth to step forward. and your presence, your actual leadership presence, it's just not there. Not because you aren't powerful or capable, but because you're running on empty. So let's talk about the path forward, the one that doesn't involve working harder or sacrificing yourself. I've got 3 tips. So tip number 1 is that visibility begins with presence. You know, the data is showing that women are overworking but not underperforming. Visibility grows not from doing more, but from being more present, intentional, and clear with your words and actions. So here's a growth EQ tip for you. Replace all the over-preparing with impactful prioritizing. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I want to be known for in this meeting? And tip number 2, set boundaries that protect your energy. From the Deloitte's research that I mentioned, women who regularly work beyond the hours experience the lowest well-being and lowest confidence. I've been there, done that. And when you're constantly on, constantly stretching and constantly proving, your nervous system never gets the chance to reset. You start doubting yourself. You start second guessing your decisions and feeling like you permanently one step behind, no matter how hard you push. Overworking doesn't build confidence. It drains it. That's why boundaries matter so much. Setting boundaries isn't about being difficult or uncommitted. Boundaries are the foundation of sustainable influence. They protect your energy, your headspace, your presence, and the very things that make your leadership powerful. When you honor your limits, you show up with more impact. Boundaries aren't about saying no to your career. They're about saying yes to the version of you who leads with intention. So now for tip number 3. I suggest that you build and maintain your inner fitness. This is what keeps you centered and grounded and powerful under pressure. It's the quiet strength that sits beneath your skills, your strategy, and your leadership. It's the part of you that doesn't crumble when things around you feel chaotic, because you've built stability from the inside out. Inner fitness stops you from outsourcing your worth to over-delivering and perfectionism or burnout. It reminds you that you don't need to earn your value by overworking or overgiving. It helps you make decisions from your heart instead of fear, and take action from alignment with your inner knowing rather than obligation. Because when your inner world is strong, when your mindset and emotions and self-trust are solid, on the outside, everything changes. Your presence becomes more magnetic. Your boundaries become clearer. Your voice becomes strong. You stop shrinking to fit in and start shaping the world around you. Inner fitness isn't about becoming somebody new. It's about returning to the strongest parts of who you already are. Beautiful leader, hear me when I say you do not need to burn out to stand out. You don't need to overprove to be worthy. You don't need to exhaust yourself to be visible. The world needs your leadership, but not at the cost of your well-being. So if this video hits home, subscribe, hit the like button, and drop a comment. And if you're ready to build the inner fitness that makes you unshakable, come join me for more tools and guidance and conversation just like this. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be valued. You deserve to lead without losing yourself. The time for empowered leadership is now, and if not now, when? And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.